Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video, consider subscribing to my channel, and if you dislike the content, please leave a comment. Now I am going to be getting into the Vigilant faction cruiser. This is one of the most unimpressive faction cruisers from all of the cruisers. It literally has no roll bonus and it is way weaker in terms of a lot of its settings. Now, as I go through it, you're going to feel the horribleness towards this vessel, but overall, it is stronger than the regular vessels, and railguns seriously need more effects. This ship should have a bigger roll bonus to it. It should give it something else on the cooldown for the railguns, give it something special. It needs a little bit of TLC basically, and it needs to be buffed up quite a bit. So let's go through it starting from the top. It has one drone slot, 5 weapon slots, 3 mid slots, 5 low slots, 3 combat rigs, and 3 engineering rigs. Now, just saying that there is something you should know. This is also suited to electronic warfare and it only has 3 mid slots. These 3 mid slots are not optimal for the type of combat that it can do. It should have had 4 mid slots and 4 low slots. That would have been much better for the ship. But let's continue on. Okay, plus 10% railgun damage, plus 10% railgun accuracy fall off. And this is for medium railgun operation, what you're getting on it. So 50% extra damage, 50% extra fall off distance. Not that much of a benefit to the ship. Now, Advanced Cruiser Command will give you a bonus to Stasis Webifier Strength, Webifier Optimal Range, and Warp Disruptor Optimal Range. So all of it is going to give you a maximum of 50% bonus to those factors when it comes to maximum command bonus on the ship. Now, moving on, the overall defense of this vessel is 20,000 defense. It has a velocity of 268 meters per second, 3 AU warp speed, 974 megawatt power grid, 3,250 gigajoule capacitor, and a 900 cubic meter cargo hold. This ship is very similar to your stock vessels, so not really the best of the best in any way. I can't even justify using this vessel unless you're using it purely because you chose railguns from the start. This is one of the worst ones in the faction ships. I really don't like the ship. I wouldn't have even tried to make a good fitting set for it. It's just that bad in terms of how it looks in my comparison. Now, with your engineering bonus, you'll have 1,363 megawatts to use, and that's going to be where you're going to be running this vessel. 1,363 megawatts. So let's look at the fittings. It's going to be an armor tank if you're going to make it a tank, and that's just about all that there is. It does have a stronger structure than its armor or shield. It does have a fair gain in capacitor at 13.41 gigajoules per second. It's not as strong as the other ships, but it is stronger than the Stratos and the Orithus. Okay, let's look at anything else here. Nothing here is that special. So we're going to move on to putting on the fittings. I'm going to start this off with weapons. So we're going to go straight to railguns. I'm going for some range because even though railguns fire real quick, you're going to need some range with this weapon. So 117 megawatts times 5 for it, and what does that mean? 778 megawatts left on the power grid after you put in the first weapon. Let's see what's the fire time. It's not even that great of a fire time on this vessel. It's really disappointing overall. I can't express how disappointing the ship is to me, but that is the overall sense of it. Now, you're not going to like how I'm going to arrange up its fittings. This ship will do best in combat against other players, so it's a PvP type vessel. It doesn't have massive roll bonuses, so it's not going to give you an edge in combat to that extent. You're better off using your standard railgun vessels for a cheaper price. It will work out just about the same. You just have a little bit of toughness with this vessel. Okay, so moving on to the mid slot, it does have a bonus to stasis weber fires. So in electronic warfare, the first thing you're going to do is purchase your stasis weber fires. I'd run two weber fires and one warp disruptor. That will be minus 3 megawatts. If you do want to switch it up, you could put on a Norse Ferratu and drain a little bit of energy, but that's not really going to be the biggest gain for you with the ship, as it's going to take you in absolutely close, and you're going to have to do it in a brawler sense. So this is more for brawler vessel. You can use Nosferatu and you can use the closer range weapon. If I'm correct, the closer range weapon has a far higher combat power. Let me just double check on it quickly. Let me just open this first. Let's see what's the damage. Okay, there you go. It is much higher. Its power requirement is lower, but its range and accuracy fall off is very, very small. It stays within the 4 kilometer radius, meaning you don't have much of negation for any effects. If you're using this faster, deadlier firepower, it's purely a hardcore brawler. You really can't afford to go glass with it. It's way too close in on most enemies, so that is the warning with this vessel. Okay, I'm just going to give that to you as the warning. Now, if you are going with Norse and you are going with faster firing weapons, you're going to have to equip an afterburner in your low slot. Now, the Norse is going to be minus 88 megawatts if you're going to go with that. That will leave you down to 790, plus you have the two Weber fires of 790. 788 megawatts total will be what you have if you went with the Norse. Now, if you're not going with the Norse, you're going to go double Weber Fire and a Warp Scrambler, and it's going to be optimally fitted for PvP battles. Now, the one reason why you would use this in PvP over PvE, the extra armor on it allows you to fight a little bit longer, and you can pull off the close range with the mid slots. It's going to help you a lot more against actual players. It could help you against players in PvE, but at the risk of getting too close to players in PvE, you don't have any other real big major bonuses. There are a ton of other ships with good bonuses that you could use in this place. Okay, so moving on down to the low slot. Now, what am I going to equip in its 5 low slot positions? Number one, I'm giving this afterburner. So afterburner is the first thing that I'm going to put on the ship. So where is it? Okay, there we go, minus 83 megawatts. Gives us 605 megawatts if you were running a Nosferatu. Remember, changing up that one thing changes it from PvE to PvP, and that's purely up to you when it comes to this build. The next few things that I'm going to put into this vessel aren't going to be so they aren't going to be so controversial. I don't know how to say that word properly. Sorry. So here's how it's going to go. I'm actually going to go with building it on an armor upgrade. This isn't a ship that I like a lot. I think you can get it by the tone in which I'm speaking about it. It doesn't excite me like any of the other faction ships. I even think that the Stratos is a better ship than this. So if you feel that I really gave the ship a bad review or made it real bad, that's more than likely due to how I feel about the ship. I really don't like it. It's just that it's the last of the elite faction ships, and I feel that it would be stupid of me to not put it in, or it would be really, really pointless to not have it in the series because it's the last of them. Hopefully, it will receive a TLC in the future coming up with one of their updates. Maybe they'll give it a new feature, maybe they'll give it some bonuses somewhere. It doesn't have to be a weapon bonus. They could give it a roll bonus on armor repair, efficiency, or resistance on its armor, or give it extra hull regen or something like that. There, just give it a special feature so that it looks as elite as the others. Now we have 4 more slots to go in low, and the next thing I'm going to put on this is a micro warp drive, since micro warp drive is more or less set for brawlers. So let's go to medium. This is going to be a kicker in terms of power. That's going to be 167 megawatts. Okay, and now we're going to go on to the next thing to put on the ship. Remember, you have 3 slots left. I'm actually going to put one for increasing and improving the weapon, and the other two that I'm going to say to put onto this vessel are going to be straight up armor repair and armor hardener. So armor repair is 111 megawatts for the medium. And remember, everything should be type C on these vessels. If you're not running type C, you're running cheap, and it's not really helping you at all. It's actually being a disadvantage to you because you spend so much on the ship, you might as well spend a little bit more to give it the best of the best in terms of power. Now, some players do like the Vigilance. I know that there are a few players who are running it in the game, and some players who said it's a fantastic ship. I just don't see it as being fantastic. I find that the fact that it is a faction ship without an elite role bonus, making it really, really pointless. Even the other ships may not have had the very best of bonuses, but they had improved bonuses compared to regular vessels. Okay, so there goes the hardener. It's going to increase the resistance by just a little bit. And there you go. Now you have a stronger vessel. It's stronger in its strongest faction that can be repaired. So it has very strong armor. Let's see what else we could put on this vessel. There's 1 more slot left. I'm going straight into weapons. And I am going to improve its damage. Now I did make a mistake with the ballistic controls. I ran a training vessel with activation time and damage for the assault rigs, and my ballistic control wasn't correct for all vessels. I know about it now because when I was running it on my Cyclone, I didn't get the same times. It turns out that there's something to do with the rig influencing the ballistic control, and it improves the amount of time reduction. I don't understand what in the world was going on, but I couldn't get it to repeat on my Cyclone. So I'm not even going to comment on what is going on with that whole mix up of mine. I'm not even going to bother showing it. I'm scrapping trying to put ballistic controls onto my ship. I'll wait until they patch or buff the systems, or until I have enough research and figure out what's going on. Then I'll explain it in a video when I can reproduce the faction. Because if I can get it faster to fire, and I'm not sure what's causing it to fire faster, and I try and give it to everybody, you might end up trying the same build as me, and it ends up falling flat on its face with another ship, and it will cost you in a battle. And I don't want to be responsible for that at the end of the day. So ballistic controls don't help this, drones don't help this. Tracking computers, do they help railguns? Yes, the tracking computer will help your railgun. So here's something that you can equip. Minus 126 megawatts from your system. And there you go. 200 megawatts left, and that is what you had to spare on your system. You're using the tracking computer for additional accuracy and range, and that's going to allow you to hit harder from a little bit more of a distance. Overall, the systems do help you a lot in terms of combat. I won't lie, they do improve your combat even if they aren't at maximum. My ballistics control may not give me a massive advantage with my current Cyclone. However, if I had torpedoes on it, I'm getting somewhere near 2 seconds 80, and on my Caracal trainer, I get something near 1 second 60. Now, the 1 second 60 and the 2 minutes 80 are way too different in figures. I can't even reproduce it with the same fittings on my Cyclone, so something is in the Caracal trainer that helps that timing go faster. I don't know where the bonus is coming from, and I don't know how it's being multiplied out. I have to figure it out over time or have someone else help me out with this. And once I do, I'll be able to improve a better build. Now, considering that it's 1 minute 56 with the trainer, I'm suspecting that the CNI will have a similar output in power. If that is the same situation, then my Dead Space video, which came out earlier today, isn't going to apply through to the next level, and I'm just going to go and finish up this build on this ship. Okay, so the last things on the ship are going to be the fittings. Now, it has three combat fittings. You can choose to make it more armor based or more assault based, as standard with all of these vessels. Faster activation time on firing, so that means that it's going to fire even faster, and the faster it fires, the more damage you can do. The next thing you can put on is advanced damage. So increasing the damage it does also improves the overall damage that you do in combat. It gives you a better advantage in the long term. Now, if you are running the armor repair on this vessel, which is what I gave for the build, I didn't give any second class builds. So what you would run on this here in that third slot is a plus 25% boost to armor repair. Now, the simple reason for this is you want to keep the cost of your system as low as possible, and you want to make sure that it can keep doing damage non-stop throughout battle. Now, your engineering rigs are going to be something similar to all the other vessels. One for speed immediately, because we're using the afterburner. So the more speed you have, the more you can tank. Then the next thing you're going to put on there is a boost to the power grid, so a bigger capacitor, so that you can recharge more overall. And you're going to reduce the capacitor recharge time by 15%. All of this put together will mean you have a better vessel for the long term fight. However, there most probably is 101 better builds than what I've just given. I really, really don't like the ship, and that's just me saying that I don't like it just based on its bonuses and how it looks. I don't like the vessel. I prefer going straight after a thorax and rebuilding up a thorax and using that against someone over doing this. And I don't even like the thorax to start with, but I think the thorax is a better ship than this faction ship. I think this faction ship is just a ship with a little bit of armor, a little bit more armor, a little bit more shield, and it is way too expensive for its class considering how it's made up. You would be better off with a regular vessel. I think that would be. No, I don't think I did cover a cruiser in the same class for railguns. Mm, let's just have a look here. Let's have a look at the thorax itself. Let's look at what it gives you. It gives you a bonus to your armor. It gives you a bonus to railgun damage plus a bonus to railgun tracking. So it's going to be really efficient for combat. The only thing where you don't get anything in the ship is in the last two rigs. And considering the difference in price, I'd say that this is just as good as the Vigilant. The Vigilant and the Thorax are equal in terms of strength to me. I'd say the only thing is you're getting a little bit more armor for uh, 1.5 billion extra I'm paying for this ship. This ship is really the worst of them. They really need to give it some tender loving care, and they need to give it some good new bonuses. It needs a little bit more. It's way too underpowered for what type of ship it is. It needs some special bonuses. They need to give it at least two roll bonuses, considering how underpowered railguns are. They should at least give it some extra speed or some extra. It just needs something. It needs armor. It needs tracking. It needs more power. It needs something. It needs a boost to make it worthwhile as a ship. The small boost that it has isn't enough. I do know that other ships do have a similar role, but this ship, being what it is, needs a bigger role than this. Okay, so that's gonna be it on the Vigilant build for me. I'm really sorry about this video. It's just that I had to do it. I didn't feel right with leaving the set undone. I know that my opinion on the ship is real bad, but that's just me being honest with you guys. This is the first time I'm doing a build video on a vessel that I don't like at all. and that's saying a lot because I have done videos on vessels that I didn't like, but this one here is one that I don't even think is worth it. That's how come I actually skipped the thorax. I thought the thorax was a waste of time. I do know that a lot of players play it very nicely, but considering everything, I'd say a thorax is better than a vigilant for combat reasons. So have a good day and thank you all for watching. Bye.